Hi, my name is Alex Fletcher, and I love going to the movies. Today I'm doing something I haven't done in a long time, and that is a Marvel Cinematic Universe ranking. 36 movies, worst to best. I just saw the Thunderbolts last night, and that's what's provoked this uh, desire to talk about these movies, I guess. Just because it's timely, too, you know. I'd rather be talking about the Friday the 13th movies, but it's timely, and sometimes that's just what you do. Get a little more excited before Fantastic Four, how about it? So, let's get right into it. Talk about these movies. Starting with the bad ones, and this is interesting because back when I used to do these, I would say there's only like two of these that I would say were bad, but now it's been post Endgame. There's more! So, let's get into it with one that is still the worst pre Endgame. A lot of people could have their opinion of what this would inevitably be. Some of the consensus ones be maybe Iron Man 2, Thor 2, The Incredible Hulk. Nah, it's Captain America Civil War. This bag of ass. I saw it opening night, midnight premiere in the Chambersburg Mall. And I was just so bummed out how much this movie sucked. It was just nonsensical, reactionary response to the DC movies doing Batman versus Superman, so let's make our own shitty version of it. Um, that's just like, let's talk about it. Let's talk it out. Let's sit down and talk. And this will be resolved, which is almost not an issue in something like Batman versus Superman because they don't know each other. But whenever they know each other to the degree they do in this movie, it's understandable that they want to fight for certain reasons, but also it's just like, this is so stupid. So stupid. And these are silly movies, but this is like the definition of taking yourself too seriously while being completely moronic. The airport sequence with Spider Man and Ant Man is great. Any parts with those two characters are very good. Anything without is horrible. And it's a travesty we did not get a proper Captain America 3 and follow up to Winter Soldier with Chris Evans, and instead got this Avengers 2.5 that I can't stand. So that definitely will, almost for sentimental reasons, always be my least favorite movie in the MCU. Because coming in at 35 is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And this movie is awful, but also like a complete affront as anything that resembles a piece of art. There's no artistic merit going on here. It's hideous to look at, horribly unfunny. The acting is awful for one of these movies because they're just in CGI land the whole time. And God bless Catherine Newton, who's an incredibly talented actress. She cannot figure out how to act in CGI land, which I actually truly feel is a testament to her character as to how good she is as an actor, that she doesn't know how to deliver lines like, stop being a dick, to MODOK, who is Yellow Jacket for some reason. Nothing nice to say about this movie. It is truly an abysmal piece of trash. Coming in at 34 is the second newest dog on the block, and that is Captain America: The Brave New World. I didn't like this one at all. I think it is really a strange piece of media to look at as a Captain America 4 with Harrison Ford as recast Red Hulk. It is just like, wow, the bubble has burst. These things are junk, you know? Um, the action's terrible. CGI is like a 2010 video game. It's not for me. Not for me at all. The Tim Blake Nelson stuff is such an abysmal follow up to anyone who had a shred of hope that they would ever pick up the plot threads of the Incredible Hulk and continue it. Does not work at all. In a movie that just ends, yeah, with a heroic speech because Captain America realistically couldn't beat this Red Hulk, so why even bother? Moving on to number 33, Black Widow. So those bottom three are horrible movies. Those are the only three I would say are horrible, though. So for as much as I'm sick of the MCU, I'll give them credit. Out of 36, only 3 of them are that terrible. Black Widow, it's just a mediocre spy movie. I would never watch it again. And like that is like one that is a solid I would never watch it again because I've been asked to watch it and I was like, nah, I'm truly good. I have no interest in ever laying eyes on that movie again. It's just there's nothing going on there that's of interest or of note or worth watching. So it's even more shocking that it came out 2 years after Endgame and after her character died, just for a final note for her character is what it seemed like. But it actually served to introduce a bunch of characters who are now the new Avengers, it turns out, in the Thunderbolts. But we'll get to that momentarily. Black Widow is just a Jason Bourne style mediocre action movie that I would never choose to put on if it was on cable, never choose to put on if it was on streaming, never choose to put on if it was on an airplane, and I'd never choose to see it in theaters again. But if my dad said I really want to, I'd say, go ahead, maybe I'll sit here for a little bit. Moving on, number 32, a very similar movie, The Thunderbolts. Just completely competently made, improvement in every way over something like Captain America 4, with a script that's trying to be more than just random superhero junk, actually has some stuff to say. It's just not that interesting at any point. It takes so long for them to escape from this facility. The villain is mostly Elaine from Seinfeld mixed with a little bit of the Sentry or Sentinel or whatever that Bubba turns into. And I like Lewis Pullman. I like Florence Pugh. I really like David Harbour. Hannah John Kamen is a talented actress. Sebastian Stan is phenomenal for anyone who saw A Different Man last year. And Wyatt Russell's a blast to see him have fun. None of these characters are interesting, though. None of them make me want to watch an Avengers movie with them for certain. And overall, it is just a solid movie, solid action movie that leaves me feeling nothing and was very mediocre to me in the long run. So number 32 is Thunderbolts. Moving on to number 31, the movie that was always second to last for me whenever I used to do these. Those new four. Like that means something to me, I guess, to do that. Anyone who would be watching this, who somehow was watching me back when I did this whenever I was in middle school, I would always have Age of Ultron and Civil War at the very bottom. So Age of Ultron comes in here at 31. This movie was such a disappointment to me when I first saw it in theaters. It was one of the first huge ones of my life that I got so excited for, got all the Diet Dr. Pepper cans, stacked them up, got that type of consumeristic hype for it. And I was just so ready for it. And then I saw it Friday opening night. And there's a difference between Thursday and Friday opening night, especially when you're in middle or high school. And I'll remember that when I have kids. Thursday night opening night, you get to talk about it with your friends the next day. Friday night opening night, you get to talk about it with your friends on Saturday when you hang out. And that is like almost better because maybe they have gone and seen it too, because none of my friends were ever going to Thursday night showing. So it was so fun, kind of. And Friday night always brings out the more younger crowd rather than nerds. So Friday night crowds, whenever I was especially younger, and I would have been 11 when this one came out. Gives a good feeling. Like Jurassic World, Friday night opening night's one of my favorite ever. But I digress. Age of Ultron, it's a movie that just is a bad action movie, just like Thunderbolts and Black Widow. These are all movies that are pretty much on the exact same scale. This one has a lot more overstuffed of a plot, but I honestly don't think it's playing on anything that's less compelling than Thunderbolts. Like Thunderbolts definitely didn't make me feel any more than the stuff like that Hawkeye has with his family, or I don't know, random bullshit with Captain America and Iron Man. And this movie made me feel. But the key difference is this movie has Captain America and Iron Man. That is a key difference. And when I say that, I mean a huge one. This one's throwaway mediocre action sequences are a Hulkbuster and the Hulk. So even if the script isn't as good or as compelling, it is so much more interesting in its moments that shine than a single second of the Thunderbolts or Black Widow. So that's what, to me, truly does make it this sort of comparison between the two. Both are bad action movies. This one has Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America. Of course, I'm going to take it. Coming in at number 30, just a smidgen above it, is Ant-Man and the Wasp. And that makes me feel conflicted because comparing it to Age of Ultron is like, well, this one doesn't have those characters. It only has Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I don't give a shit about the Wasp. But I really do enjoy Paul Rudd's Ant-Man. I think that makes, for honestly, a funner movie. This one has the Infinity War hype, too, if that makes sense. Just because you didn't expect as much from this movie as something like Age of Ultron, it ended up just being kind of a fun little romp in the middle of those movies. And in between Infinity War and Endgame, which is when this and then Captain Marvel came out. And that was just such a fun time to be a Marvel fan that this one I think gets a little bit of a shine from that. And being still simple, not being a horrible hack job of a production where everything looks like complete and utter shit. It just looks a little gray and bad. T.I. and Michael Douglas and David Dastmalchian all are funny as his, and Michael Pena as the ex-con crew. They're great. And Judy Greer is still in this one, and she got cut out of the third one. So, thumbs up to this one. I think Judy Greer's in this one. I would never watch this movie again. Moving on to 29, The Eternals. Eternals, honestly, these next couple ones, still pretty very bad in my opinion, but a step up significantly from Ant-Man and the Wasp and Age of Ultron, which were significant steps up from Thunderbolts and Black Widow, which were huge steps up from Captain America Brave New World to the Civil War at the bottom. Just to give you like kind of a tiers to how I view these. Coming in now, it's a mediocre to bad movie. But the first time I saw it, I didn't hate it. And I guess that is what I'm throwing out. Sorry, I gotta get a little more comfortable. Throwing out as a distinction here is that when I first saw The Eternals, I thought, hey, it's mid. It was like 3 stars. Now I would give it 2 because I have rewatched it once at home and I didn't like it at all. Thought it was actually horrible. Showed it to a friend and we both thought it sucked. But this was a good different. When people say that these are all the same, this was a good different, even if it was bad, if that makes sense. Because I don't think the Thunderbolts is actually all that different. It's actually very similar to Phase 2 or Phase 3 movies. It's just that they have gotten away from that sort of consistency. So people are happy that they're back there. This is something completely different than anything they had done. It's weird, but it kind of worked for me, and I would really like to see a continuation of it. It's one that I actually would care to see and hear what happens to these characters, what was going on with not Chloe Zhao, she directed it, Gemma Chan, and them getting sucked up into space. I don't care about Harry Styles. I don't need any follow-up to that, but I'd like to know what's going on with them. That'll never happen, though, so I'll never watch this movie again because I really did not enjoy it the second watch. I just thought the first time learning about these characters was actually interesting. Coming in at 28, this one might be surprising. Thor: Love and Thunder. It might be a little higher than most people have it. Because this is an objectively really bad movie, like horribly done. It's SNL parody of itself, Marvel. But if you watch this super stoned, it's super funny. The first time I saw it, I thought it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. Second time I saw it was because my friend, shout out John, said, I don't have the money. I can't go see it. The first time we went. And then literally the next day he was like, I really want to see Thor. Will you go see it with me? Because I see everything with anybody. And I said, yes. And then I saw it a second day in a row and I immediately hated it like that. I was like, no, this is so annoying. I can't stand this. And then I've seen it a third time, very stoned. And I thought it was very funny that time. very bad, but very funny. Natalie Portman is excellent in this. Coming in at 27 now, we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This and Thor are like so neck and neck, it's insane. Because the good stuff of Thor is very minimal. There's almost nothing I consider very good in that movie. It's all very consistently weird, horrible SNL level garbage. But it's also fun because the Guardians are in there. Christian Bale as Gore is crazy, just thrown in there. But Doctor Strange 2 has such low lows. The entire second act with Chuchawel Ejiofor and the Justice Society or whoever those Fockers were, and the stupid Professor X and Mr. Fantastic cameos, and I just can't stand any of that entire part of the movie. So boring, so generic, so poorly written into that movie, cohesive wise. It all drags it down so far, but it's lifted up so far by Sam Raimi directing sequences that have a cloak of skulls and demon cape shit, and it was fucking awesome. All that stuff in the third act, the horror Scarlet Witch stuff, him having a music note off battle with his evil version of himself, that horrible evil gray world having the Sam Raimi Cadillac he lost his virginity in. That was awesome. I loved all that part of it. So it definitely rises above all the garbage below it, because if you rewatch it, if you put it on in front of me, the middle act is a complete abysmal waste of time, but the first and third acts are okay. Namely, the third act, especially, is a lot of fun. Coming in at 26, surprised that this landed this high, is The Marvels. I've never watched this again either. As a matter of fact, I tried for a second on an airplane, and I thought, wow, this is awful. But the one time I saw it in theaters, I didn't have that horrible a time with this. This is right there with Aquaman 2, where it's I got super stoned. I thought it was funny that studios are putting so much money into movies that look this bad and are this hyperactive, in your face, horrible humor, make the babies laugh. This is where we're at. This is horrible, but it made me laugh. And Brie Larson looked great, so I had a good time with it. Otherwise, other than the kitty cats and Brie Larson, nothing good to say about this movie. The Kelsey Grammer beast end credit scene is insulting to my intelligence, and yeah, I did not like it. But 26. 25, moving through the mid now. These are all movies that are very mediocre. I've seen them a couple times, but I don't ever see myself rewatching until I have kids that want to. 25 is Spider-Man Homecoming. This movie gets worse every time I rewatch it. Any time that isn't Spider-Man and Iron Man on screen together is pretty insufferable, other than the Vulture third act twist as well. But everything else, especially with how Spider-Man progresses through these movies, just looks worse and worse and lamer in hindsight, that this is what they did for his first movie in the MCU. It's very, very lame. That's the only way I would describe it. Very, very lame. Coming in at 24 is The Incredible Hulk. This movie is so weird because I almost want to rewatch it now that we got a sequel to it in Captain America 4, but I don't ever want to rewatch it otherwise. I really enjoy Edward Norton as the Hulk. He's a much better Bruce Banner than Mark Ruffalo, but this movie is just kind of a normal 2008 blockbuster, which makes it better than all the bad 2020 blockbusters, because it has a funner cast, good action. The action between Incredible Hulk and Abomination is actually a lot of fun, and Hulk is better than he ever is in the rest of the MCU here. So there is a lot of good stuff here. Just the most recent time I rewatched it, which was about 3 years ago in high school, 4 years ago maybe, I thought that it really dragged at certain points. But it is okay. It's an all right movie. Like I said, these are all the mediocre ones. Coming in at 23 is Captain America: The First Avenger. This one really resonates with a lot of people, I've come to find. My sister, namely, it's her favorite in the MCU. It has a traditional, classic, old-school filmmaking approach that Joe Johnston gives it. Very Rocketeer-coded, if you will. I saw it very young, rented it from Family Video whenever I would have been like 7 or 8 with her and my uncle to get excited for the Avengers. So I'm so glad that I was there at the ground floor whenever Phase 1 was just finishing getting developed and able to rent these movies, namely Iron Man 2, Thor, and Captain America, First Avengers, from Family Video, and then go see the first Avengers as my first one in theaters for the MCU. But when I rewatch them, they're very okay, flawed 2010 movies that are very obviously setting up something greater, but they put in the work, they put in the time, and I appreciate them for that. They're all here in this mediocre tier. Because coming in at 22 now is Thor. This one gets the edge because I will always prefer a Kenneth Branagh directed film to a Joe Johnston directed film. That's just me. I prefer the grandeur, the Asgardian Shakespeare stuff, and it's fun to see him with blonde eyebrows and a baby Tom Hiddleston playing with Natalie Portman in New Mexico. Very simple stuff because Thor is, if any of these characters have gone out to be in crazy, really heightened environments and have done everything they possibly can with these characters, it is Thor. And this is a much smaller scale finding himself origin of Thor, and it's cool that they did do that in this way. And I do significantly prefer to Captain America or the Hulk when it comes to Phase 1 origin movies. I definitely do prefer Thor. Coming in at 21, which is weird, but I do have to give it the edge over these ones, it's Captain Marvel. I enjoyed this one. It's a fun little 90s throwback. You don't have any sort of connections to the greater MCU, not one other than the Nick Fury Shield stuff. The needle drops are fun. Brie Larson is fun. Very forgettable villain in Jan Rog or whatever Jude Law's name was, and not one I would rewatch that many times, but nothing below this is something I ever rewatch. So yeah, number 21, Captain Marvel, very solid. Number 20, this one is a very bad rewatch. I'll fully admit that. When you watch it at home, this movie is abysmal. Looks horrible. Directed, just... Where was it? Where was any of the production value? Who knows? It was a 2021 release, so I'm sure COVID really hampered the quality of filmmaking that this was allowed to be, because it is brutal watching it at home. But that never takes away the fact that seeing it in theaters was such a crazy event. And that's Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, 3 Spider-Mans, all these villains from all these other movies, all linking up in this one movie. It is fun. Like I said, it looks awful. The script is very, very by threads hanging on, but it's a good time with a fun concept, doing Spider-Verse in live action. Didn't lay any of the groundwork, didn't earn it, but that doesn't matter. It's a good time. Wish Venom was involved, Tom Hardy Venom. I wish Tom Hardy Venom was involved. That's my biggest gripe with this movie, other than like really the piss poor filmmaking quality of it. But it's a fun time otherwise, with horror, like just inexcusable stuff that's going to age so horribly, like their handling of the Lizard and Sandman. But you had to do what you had to do in the pandemic of filmmaking, so hey, it's number 20 for a reason. Coming in at 19, Shang-Chi. Destin Daniel Cretton is a great director, and I'm glad that he got to direct this movie and is now getting to do the next Avengers movie. Shang-Chi is a good time. The action is fun. I don't really care for the character of Shang-Chi or Awkwafina, his sister. Any of that all that much, honestly. But the action is fun. The character world building is cool. And the third act gets very silly with a like Mario dragon coming to fight him. But I had a fun enough time with it. This is one that really, really, really is hurt by the home rewatch. Just like the next one. I would call this tier the home rewatch failure. Not that it was like good because of the theater experience. It's just, it's good because the first time watch is fun in the theaters. And then the second time I saw it at home, I'm like, this is boring. This is like padded. This is generic. So Shang-Chi fails from that. But has enough cool filmmaking flair to it that it cuts through it as a little better. Coming in at 18, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I really enjoyed this one on a first watch. Really enjoyed it on a first watch. Thought it was beautiful, a touching tribute. Coogler's direction elevates it immensely. I thought Shuri was a fun character to have at the center of it. I just can't stand that Namor is the villain, and then it's 2.5 hours long, and the Namor stuff is just so not there, especially with Avatar 2 coming out just a little bit after. The Namor stuff was just not there for me, and I did not enjoy that aspect of it at all. So that puts it here at 18, because the good stuff's good, bad stuff's bad. Mediocre overall. Coming in at 17, Thor Ragnarok. Very mediocre. Have always felt very lukewarm in the middle about this one. Led Zeppelin music is fun. The world that they're in is solid. I wish it looked a little better visually, CGI, and grayscaling wise. But, it's fine enough. Goldblum's fun. Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie's a great addition in this one. Korg is fun. Taika Waititi's voice feels fresh here. Became very oversaturated after Jojo Rabbit. But here it felt very fresh, very fun. Cool new tone to give Thor. Doctor Strange made a fun cameo with yellow gloves. And it was just a good time at the movies with Cate Blanchett as a rock-solid villain. Nothing more, nothing less. Fun moments, undercut by humor sometimes, but overall a fun movie, and I liked it. Coming in at 16, this one is one that's a tough one because I don't think it's that good. And yeah, out of 36, we're at 16 now, and I still don't think any of these first 20 movies passed the test for being very good quality films. But these last few have been fun in a very modest way. This one is the most fun in a modest way. It is so of its time that it's so fun to go back and watch it, and very flawed. But I was there. I was 9 years old, opening day, May 4th, 2012. May 5th, that Saturday, actually, I had to go after a soccer game in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, to the Avengers. And it was, when people say it's the Star Wars of our life, I agree. I believe that because the MCU's just made such an impact and has had such a legacy and a lasting impact that this was the Star Wars. This is the one that brought everyone together, and this is the one that made everybody so excited. And I think that Joss Whedon is really what leaves a sour taste in my mouth from that movie. I just can't stand him, and his fingerprints are all over it. But for the time, being the first time, having multiple superheroes on screen that weren't just like the X-Men, it's Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Thor, lot of fun. Loki's a great villain to anchor all of that. And it's no secret why this took off like it did. Was such a huge summer blockbuster, and they've had a stranglehold over the opening weekend of May summer blockbuster slot for a while. And I'm glad to see them have it again this weekend. Even if I didn't care for the movie that much, it's fun to have a Marvel movie that people are enjoying come out this opening weekend of May, be an Avengers type movie. I didn't enjoy it, but I'm so glad everyone else is. But yeah, moving on, number 15. These top 15 are movies that I actually will say I like. I'm so glad to say I'm at the point where I like these movies. This one, just barely, 15, Spider-Man Far From Home. Really, really do not enjoy it as much on a rewatch at home. The Jake Gyllenhaal Mysterio stuff does burn me more than it did in theaters. A lot of people complained about it then. I was able to ignore it. Watching it at home, it's like, wow, he really is just in a green screen suit for the most part. And really, because he's never come back, really like anticlimactic, disappointing end to his character. If anything, he should be in the Thunderbolts. Oh my gosh, Mysterio would have been so good to have a part of the Thunderbolts. That's a huge missed opportunity. But it's a fun movie. As a Spider-Man fan who likes Mysterio, he could have been done better, but he is done well. He looks great. I have a good time with this one. It's a fun European vacation Spider-Man movie. I always will prefer the Raimi stuff and like boots on the ground in New York, Spider-Man being friendly neighborhood Spider-Man shit, which I hope they get back into with the new Tom Holland one. But of the Spider-Man ones in the MCU, this is far and away my favorite. I will say that. Definitely the best one. Coming in at 14, Deadpool and Wolverine. So talking about how much I don't enjoy modern MCU stuff, this one technically is MCU, and it definitely is an enjoyable movie. I just watched it on the plane ride back from Japan, and it was my third watch of it. It's just a silly, fun, goofy, good time. It's got the same plot as a Loki episode, but they say the F word and have extreme violence. When you put a red mask on him, Ryan Reynolds is somehow still funny. Hugh Jackman Wolverine, still just the best. Wolverine's my favorite comic book character, and Hugh Jackman is my favorite portrayal of any comic book character, because how could he not be? How could he not be? He's fantastic. Channing Tatum Gambit is awesome. Wesley Snipes' Blade showing up was sick. It's a gimmick movie, of course, but it's a very good one at that, and a movie that's hard not to have a good time while watching. Coming in at 13, Black Panther. Now I'm going to take a sip because I've been talking for a minute. Thank you. Black Panther. It is a movie hampered by a disappointingly poor third act due to CGI. But if you take that away, this one is very good. Even if they had some of the CGI artists that I'm sure were working double time on Infinity War, because that was coming out 3 months later, this could have been so good. But on home rewatch, I can't stand looking at it. It looks like a Metal Gear Solid 4 is what it looks like. And I love Metal Gear Solid 4, but it really hampers the experience watching a movie take place in 2018 look like that. But Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther is just so sick, so cool. The action here is well done because it's Coogler behind the camera. The music and the actual production design is so much cooler than all the other Marvel movies. So much more unique, and that certainly is what gives us that extra flavor that puts it ahead of the other ones. These top 13 specifically are distinctly good movies. Coming in at number 12, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This was a treat from 2 years ago. James Gunn doing this before piecing out to the DC universe. I'm so glad this ended up being as good as it was. It's definitely the weakest Guardians movie to me, because they are my favorite characters in the MCU. But for what it is, it really at least delivers on being the best it could be, with Gamora having been killed off by Endgame, and them incorporating her the best they could, doing some fun stuff with Chris Pratt's character. The soundtrack was still bitching, and Rocket Raboon is the best character arc. Like, you want to talk about these movies actually being serious, having a nice plot. We all say that this is the first one to do it in so long. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Thunderbolts, it's good to see them take it seriously. Man, this was like the one that was 2 Marvel movies ago. And they did handle that shit with Rocket Raboon pretty well. So good for them. I really did enjoy this one. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 gets a thumbs up from me, big time, for just being a consistent movie with fun action, fun music, looks solid. It's nothing near the magic of the first 2. Coming in at 11, we have Ant-Man. I know. Why is Ant-Man so high? I like it. I think it's funny. I think this is the funniest one, so obviously it's the highest. But it just really, really does work at being a smaller stakes, funner origin movie, and having actual fun chemistry between actors, fun line reads, funny lines. Not all of these hit that. This one really did. I expected nothing from it. Saw it a random afternoon with my dad and my sister in 2015, and I have really, really enjoyed it ever since. And Paul Rudd is just always an actor that I'm going to enjoy to some degree, and he definitely makes the worst Ant-Man movies way more bearable, but this one was always pretty solid. Number 10, cracking our top 10 now. My voice is going, so I'm glad we're getting to the end of this. Thank you if you've been watching this for 34 minutes. Number 10, Infinity War. Avengers Infinity War. Wow, ripping off that Band-Aid. That might be shocking. I don't know. This one's actually really, really not the meat and potatoes. You know, the end game is, to me. This one's setting it up, getting you there, paying off the initial part, him snapping them fingers. Oh, everyone getting dusted is excellent. All the stuff in space between Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange, and then they get to the Guardians, that's all really fun and excellent. It's just, the Captain America, Black Widow, Vision stuff all really leaves me a little boring, a little to be desired on that one. So that brings it down to number 10. But the third act and all the action and stuff is a lot of fun. And it is these movies where they'd been building to up to that point, firing on all cylinders. Coming in at number 9, a movie that I only prefer more and enjoy more over time. And I remember seeing opening day in theaters and being so excited for it in May 2013 as well. And that is Iron Man 3. This one has such a cool poster, such a good trailer that debuted during the Super Bowl that year. I really, really, really undervalued this back when I was a kid, just because I didn't like the Iron Patriot. I didn't like the villain, thought he was lame, didn't like the Mandarin twist. But the older I get, I don't care about that stuff, and I just appreciate it for being a fun Shane Black, bouncing badass Iron Man movie. It's funny. Robert Downey Jr. is invested. The last time that this suit looked good was Iron Man 3. The last time it looked real, it looked believable, was Iron Man 3. And I appreciate that shit. So I appreciate Iron Man 3. I like it. I only like it more over time. I can forgive you, Iron Patriot. Coming in number 8, Doctor Strange. This one has the trippy visuals of Scott Derrickson and very competent shorthanded direction by him. Benedict Cumberbatch is great at the character, but Michael Stuhlbarg and Mads Mikkelsen, Rachel McAdams, who's wonderful, all round out the cast. Tilda Swinton as well. So this one's got a really strong supporting cast. And it's just a fun new world to immerse yourself into. I think it's in Tibet and, all this cool sorcery and magic. It's really unique and interesting for one of these movies to deal with this stuff and these visuals. And that is what makes this one way more fresh and really, really fun. Number 7, got Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I can see the argument for this just being the best MCU movie. So excited whenever this one came out back when I was a kid, seeing it Sunday opening weekend with my mom and my sister. I thought Captain America was going to die. I really did. I thought that he would die and Bucky would take over. All the way back then, my sister and I were theorizing that. He stuck around way longer. I should have known better. And if I was an adult, I wouldn't have known better. So that's kind of the fun of being a kid when this stuff was coming out. You can actually be that invested in it and not know what's going to happen. It's just so good. The action is so good. It has the best action in the MCU, bar none. The Russos, the only time they've ever shown competency behind the camera. And, Chris Evans is honestly at his best here. ScarJo's a lot of fun in it with him. I love that she got to be the co-lead of this one with him. That's the best way to incorporate these characters into these movies and make it feel like a lived universe, is having these two Avengers headline a movie, and it still feels like a Captain America movie above all else, but Black Widow gets to be a part of it. That is what made these so fun. And the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that. Even the connections to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back then, that was a lot more seamless, a lot more you earn it by watching it. And it was fun. It was fun to be a fan back then of this stuff. So it's number 7 on the list. That shows you these top 7, even honestly, Ant-Man and up, are ones that I've watched at least 10 times and really enjoy. Number 6, Iron Man 2. Always will have a soft spot for this one because I saw the trailer for it. I saw War Machine and I said, Dad, I need to watch it. We went to Burger King, got the Burger King toys, and he was like, okay. Rented from Blockbuster that time, the original Iron Man, and we watched it, and I loved it. I just thought it was so fun. And so awesome that I was, 6, and he was showing me Iron Man so I could watch Iron Man 2. And then whenever my uncle found out, it was like, well, you have to watch Thor and Captain America now because they're all going to be leading up to the Avengers. And he showed me what comic books were, and I got all into this back then, back in 2010, 2011. Good time to be alive. Good time to be a kid. So I really enjoy Iron Man for that. The introduction of Black Widow's fun. Don Cheadle's War Machine is great. War Machine's never been cooler than this movie. Never been cooler than this movie. Sam Rockwell is Justin Hammer. Awesome in this movie. So glad that he was able to be in this and has never returned because they've gotten shitty. So just enjoy the fact that you were in the one that was considered bad but looks cool at least. The suits look real. I really enjoy that. I enjoy it all. I think it's funny. I think it's the opening at the racetrack is a lot of fun. Like, yeah, this movie is good. I've never understood the hate. Coming in number 5, another sequel I've never understood the hate, Thor: The Dark World. Hell yes. I saw this one like 8 times in theaters. My uncle and I just could not stop seeing it. It is a blast. The Asgard stuff is the best it ever is in the MCU in this, in my opinion. The Asgard stuff has never been topped. Malekith and the Dark Elves are a fine villain, but the Loki stuff, that dynamic, that's bringing in the human elements and like the actual dramatics and making it work, making it the best it can be. And I really appreciated that and enjoyed that about this movie. Coming in at number 4, Avengers Endgame. We're in the Endgame now, sucker. Yeah, no. Endgame's awesome. Endgame, it always will not be as good when you watch it at home, but I saw it 5 times in theaters. That is enough to know it was an awesome, awesome thing to experience. I saw it 4 straight days. Thursday night, movie theater. Friday night, drive-in. Saturday night, movie theater. Sunday night, movie theater. Whenever it came out, with just 4 different groups of people, because it was that type of event. You had to get your tickets weeks in advance for every showing. It was amazing to have that many people at the movies, that many people experiencing something together, cheering, crying, gasping. It's just so fun whenever you actually care too. And I did back then. And that was a lot of fun to experience that movie. Yeah, man. Endgame. Nothing else to say about it. It's a blast. Coming in number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Yes, the first one. This movie is awesome. Taking these characters nobody knew. I certainly didn't. And making them the characters of summer 2014 at the movies. The best year for movies of recent times. And just, I went to Pappy's Pizza, and then I saw this movie with my uncle that day. And we went home and told my other uncle, yeah, man, Batista was great in it. Because that's all he knew about it as a frame of reference, that Batista was in it. And it's like, yeah, man, it's awesome. This movie's great. James Gunn put himself on the map. He'd written Scooby-Doo and shit and Dawn of the Dead, but this made James Gunn put him on the path to where he is now as the head of the DCEU. And it earned it because it was just such a fun movie, full of energy, full of life, original, creative, and brought such a different flavor to the MCU and what kept the wheels greased and people excited to keep on coming and seeing how different these movies could be. Coming in number 2, the one that did start it all, is Iron Man. And it's still up there because it is so, so good. Such a strong backbone for this entire operation because of how good Robert Downey Jr. is, as well as Jeff Bridges, Gwyneth Paltrow, Favreau behind the camera, still cutting his teeth, earning his place, making this blockbuster, making it a true blockbuster with Paramount, I think it was, backing it. It looks excellent. The Iron Man suit looks great. And it's just so quick, so sharp. A lot of it was improv, turns out. And it makes for such a fun experience to watch this movie with such good action, cool costume, cool character. And you just get immersed in this world, and then you get to follow his character for like 10 years, however many movies. Never been done before like that. And that's what we forget makes it so interesting in the first place and so enjoyable. And I think that's why it's so hard for them to get back to it, because you just can't force that. And it was good. It was good when we had it. And this was the one that started it. And it's still the second best one. But the number 1 movie in the MCU to me is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This is one that I actually actively enjoy rewatching. I'll rewatch it once every year or two, which is the only MCU movie that I'd say I watch every year or two at this point of my life. And it's just fun because I love Kurt Russell. I'm an 80s action movie guy, so having him as the villain here is just the cherry on top. I love that he's also not an active or antagonist, so you don't have to deal with it constantly building up throughout the whole movie. Like, why is this not, going anywhere? Why aren't they killing him now? Why blah, blah, blah. No, it's just very, very fun, slow burn. Empire Strikes Back's of these movies, so Rocket and Groot are elsewhere. They're over here with Ego. It's just good, man. It works. It works. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, great soundtrack too, and the best action of the Guardians movies. The third one has the great Beastie Boys action sequence. The first one is actually very lacking in the action department. That is the biggest flaw of the first one. But this one has the sequence with Yondu and the arrow, and the third act is the best third act in the MCU other than maybe Endgame. So I really love the action of this one, and that is why Guardians of the Galaxy 2, with these characters at their best, Gamora and Star-Lord at their best, it is my favorite of the MCU. So wow, my throat is so dry. My back hurts from sitting in this chair. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. 45 minutes of me talking about silly Marvel movies. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, what your top 10 are, what your whole ranking is, which ones you've seen. Let me know. I'd love to read them. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.